Gaula, as we know, is a Rakti Raga. It's largely phrase-based. Rather than going into the history or the Janya Janaka relationship of this raga, I would like to try and understand how this raga is interpreted and how it is sung today in our present times. The Arohanam, Avrohanam of Riti Gaula, of course, there are minor variations. Sakari Gama Nisa Sani Dhamma Gama Pa Gari Sa, or Sakari Gama Nidhamma Nisa Sani Dhamma Gari Gama Pa Gari Sa. The notes which are there in this raga are Shadyam, Chatushruti Rishabham, Sadharana Gandharam, Shuddha Madhyamam, Chatushruti Devatam, and the Kaishaki Nishadam. So, as I mentioned earlier, Riti Gaula is a largely phrase-based raga. Now, yes, a phrase is composed of swaras, but it takes so much more than just the swaras to actually give a phrase its aesthetic beauty. So, it can be said that a phrase is a combination of swaras plus the gamakas, which actually lend it its aesthetic beauty, and every phrase has a certain context in which it sounds the most beautiful, and if it is sung in that context, the impact of the phrase is the greatest. For example, if I take the same set of notes, say ni da ma, there are many ways in which I can sing the same set of notes. Ni da ma, ni da ma, Nidama, Nidama. So we saw the same set of notes, that is Nidama, can be sung in different ways based on how I give the inflections of these notes. Now the question arises, how do we understand which phrases are essential in a raga, which phrases give the raga its essential character, and which phrases should be sung in a raga and which phrases should not be sung. One is, of course, listening to the music of our great stalwarts. And I think listening is truly a great lesson, because different musicians have interpreted the same raga in different ways. Even the same musician has interpreted the same raga in different ways at say, different concerts. For example, the way Shemmagudi Srinivas Iyer would sing a Riti Gaula Alapane before Dvaitam O Sukhama would be very different from the way that he would sing a ragam before any other kriti like Badalika Dhira, for example. So one, listening gives us a great idea about which of the phrases are important in the raga. Second is learning from a guru. Of course, that is very, very important. That goes without saying. And the third point is learning a whole host of compositions in the same raga. Now, say for example, I have, to give you an analogy, I have certain vegetables and I want to know what to do with it. In that case, the recipe book will be my database. Similarly, if I have a set of notes or if I have a raga, the compositions which we have, which are great Vagyakaras, great composers have given to us, these compositions form the database. So, what do these compositions contain in them? They tell us how a phrase should be sung, what is the length of this phrase, what is the exact Kala Pramanam or the pace of this particular phrase, and in what context the phrase has to be sung. So our compositions give us a huge database where we can actually understand which phrases to sing. In many ragams, the compositions also give us the range of a ragam, for example. For example, if you take Ananda Bhairavi, you will not have sancharams below the Mandarasthai Nishadam, and this we understand because most of our compositions do not have sancharams which go below that note. So they also give us an idea of the range of the raga. I would now like to ask a question to all of you. Can you name some of the popular compositions in Riti Gaula, or some of the compositions which you really like? Yeah. Janani Niduvina, absolutely. Raga Ratna, absolutely. Nannu Vidachi. So some of the popular compositions in this raga, as all of you have mentioned, is Janani Ninuvina, probably the composition which is associated most with this raga, Subbaraya Shastri's masterpiece. This raga seems to have been a great favorite of Tyagaraja's. He has composed so many compositions in these, like all of you mentioned, Raga Ratna, Nannu Vidachi, Dvaitamu Sukhama, Cheraravade Mira, so many other compositions. Mama Hridaye Viharadayalo Sri Krishna, composition of Sri Mysore Vasudevacharya. Tattva Maria Tarama by Papanasham Shivan. Guruvayurappane Appan, composition of Ambujam Krishna. Paripalaya Mam, composition of Sri Swatirnal Maharaja. Now, there are many different ways in which we can begin a Riti Gaula Alapne. Just to illustrate some of the few ways in which this can be done. One of the most important phrases in Riti Gaula. Or 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 one way in which MLV Amma used to sing is my guru Neela Mami in class once, she started the Riti Gaula Alapne in such a beautiful way. She has combined so many different phrases to give you one complex phrase which sounds so beautiful. It's an adaptation of this phrase. So what Mami has done when she has sung this phrase is that she has combined elements of so many phrases of Riti Gaula to give us one phrase which sounds so beautiful. Another way to begin is or these are just some of the ways in which we can begin a Riti Gaula Alapne. There are of course many more. These are different perspectives of the raga. It gives us a different color, a different flavor and interpretation of the raga every time we listen to different musicians actually sing this. And again, something which Mami again says is that how I sing Riti Gaula today will not be the same way when I sing Riti Gaula tomorrow, because every raga, it depends on the mood and the emotion that you're feeling at that point in time. If you're feeling if you're feeling, for example, very flamboyant and extremely happy and energetic, chances are that you will sing a ragam which is filled with a lot of brigas and other faster phrases. But if you're feeling introspective, then chances are that you will sing a ragam which has a lot of slow phrases, a lot of karvais. So it actually depends on the emotion and the mood you're feeling at that point in time.